Hello! Hello folks, Fat Guy Flies RC. Coming to you from the man cave. I've got the Grand Cruiser version 2 all put together. Little music because they say I don't have enough music with my videos. So there you go. And got her all together. A couple of build tips because I did run into a few headaches, and that's what I mainly would show you. She's all set up. Just to show you a few things, tell you a few things, I have all control surfaces set with 100% throws, 30% expo on rudder, aileron, and elevator. The props, I have throttle cut there. Props do run counter rotating, they spin inwards. You do not, be careful with the little nuts that hold the props on. You only get one set, so if you lose one like I did, you have to find yourself a replacement. The retracts work really well. No issue there thus far. There again, it's nice and warm here. I have a 2800 3S in her, just so you know. I have the, give you a shot of the flaps. I have the, let me go to my flap page so I can show you my flap setup. Alright, I have the, of course there's no flaps. Takeoff flaps, I have them set at 25%, but on the Spectrum it's negative 25%. And then for no flaps is a negative 100%. Takeoff is negative 25%, and landing flaps, I have them set at a positive 100%. Now, I will, and that's on a 2-second deployment, I will put an elevator mix based upon how she flies, whether she balloons or not. Like I said, there's another shot of the retract. The battery just tucks straight in there. Take that little hatch off, and you can see the other end of the battery, and it stops right. So your typical brick style 2200. This is a 2800, but has the same length and dimensions as a typical 2200. One thing in the build, like I said, don't lose your screws. Hold your props on. This clear canopy is just barely held on. There were no stickers to cover this light up, so I just have to use some silver paint. The blue and red and the different stickers that come with the model do not match this model at all. They completely clash. So I only used the Dynam Grand Cruiser, the Dynam sticker there, and the big word Dynam there. That's all the stickers I use. The rest of them are a blue and a red that completely clash with the red and the silver of this, so they need to come up with a new scheme to match this red. So there's nothing you can do about that. You see the lights up there. You got the green over here, the red over there blinking. Something you need to look at in the build is in these little, and I've taped this over, I know I'll lose paint if I have to serve. These areas here are magnetic on. The magnets are pretty weak, and these will fall off pretty easy, okay? So I just tape them on. I can just cut them if I need to service. Right here, when you get this, if you get this, you'll see this little section here will have a little indentation, and it'll be solid. And all it is just a layer of paint that's meant to be hollowed out. That way you have ESC cooling. And that's just as simple as you just push your finger through it, or just take a blunt instrument, and it'll, because you can see that Skylord ESC. That's for the ESC cooling, so you definitely want to there's just a layer of paint covering that. So definitely want to cover that. You'll see it, you'll know what I mean if you buy the model. The difference is between the version 2, full disclosure, I've never owned the version 1. This is the version 2. What I do notice, and I don't know if this is the thing, there is a spar now in the elevator. Apparently there wasn't in the original. The wing is reinforced now. Apparently it was not reinforced here. It does still have a little bit of flex, but this is not an aerobatic snap roll type model. So you're not going to be doing too many tricks. This is more of a scale flyer. You do have some nice covers. Like I say, I don't really know. I do know for sure that the reinforcement spar here and the counter rotating props, I know that's an improvement. And of course the paint scheme. Also the lights apparently weren't wired before or something, but they're wired now. But that's, you know, you'd have to do your research because I didn't have the first one, so I don't know. This is my first Grand Cruiser from Dynam. The build went well. The only thing you have to glue is these wing ends, these winglets that have these lights on, and I just hot glued them on with, and I use Gorilla Hot Glue because Gorilla Hot Glue seems to have more stick than regular hot glue. It seems to have a harder viscosity. I don't know if that's the right word. It just seems to work better. How about that? The other thing, like I say, you got counter rotating props. Oh yeah, you also glue on the little antenna there. That's no big deal. My rudder is slightly, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, but it's slightly bent. I tried my best to straighten it out. I don't think I'm going to be able to. I don't necessarily think it's going to affect the flight that much. I may have to compensate with a little bit of adverse rudder. I'm running a Lemon RX stability receiver. Now, not a Stability Plus. This does not have auto level in it. This only has the S3X style stabilization. I hope to get a maiden for this really soon. It's not going to be a rocket ship. There is one big drawback, and I don't want to call it drawback. It's just how this thing is designed. Really the only place you can put the receiver and is actually on the flat part of the wing, like where the bottom of the wing joins the fuselage. Well, that receiver just fits right in there, and there's a pocket, but there's a whole nest of wires and everything that are going to roll up on top of that. So you've got to fish them all through, put the thing upside down, drop the wires in, and then make sure you have your receiver ready to go before you seal up the wing. So trying to get stabilizers and everything to work the correct direction, everything is a little bit of a headache. Not a huge deal, but a little bit of a headache. If you're just using a plain Jane receiver that has no stabilization, well then you just bind up and throw her in there. You're fine. The way this plane looks and the way it feels to me, the feeling I'm getting off it, it's going to be a very stable flyer anyways. Probably doesn't need any kind of stabilization. I have my gains on my stabilizers turned way down anyways, and so that basically because that's just the receiver I had extra to put in. I just didn't have any more receivers, so that's why I put that receiver in it. Really, you say the flaps work fine. Everything works fine. I've noticed that whenever I always test my control surfaces with a servo tester before I assemble, everything was spot on. The flaps, the ailerons, elevator, everything was pretty well centered. Of course, I say the wings part. The elevator and the rudder you have to set up because you're assembling them. But I made sure my servos were centered first and then attached everything, and seemed to go fine. Typical adjustment with a rudder versus the nose gear, but they've allowed you the quick connects where you put the screw in there. And you can have the control rod slide in and out. That makes making those adjustments, and they got them on both ends. That makes making those adjustments very easy, and that's a good plus on Dynam there. I do not agree with one thing. Their control arms for their surfaces, their elevator surface, do not go all the way through. They just simply adhere to. They have little pegs, and you can see them poking out the other side, but there's not a backing plate to secure them in place, and I don't like that at all. So what I did on my, here they'll servo, this control arm. It pokes all the way through, and then little pegs kind of poke through. Well, I hot glued them in, and then I put a little layer of hot glue on those little pegs that came out. Same thing with my rudder. The control arm didn't quite, you know, they didn't like click in. You know, there's no backing plate. They weren't like a zip tie style. I mean, they just went in there, and you just had to secure them with glue. I would much rather them go into a hard, either screw into a hard plate or click into a hard plate, and I'll go all the way through. But that's what I got with the model, so that's the way it is. But there again, I'm not going to be doing snap rolls and quick, decisive turns and everything with this. It's going to be more of a cruising, Grand Cruiser, cruising model. This is actually a Cessna 310, I think, if that's correct. Cessna 310. But it's a twin engine. I'll get it made now as soon as possible. You do have the, you know what, let's turn the lights off real quick. And maybe you can then get a little better of a look at how she looks. There. Now you can see the nav lights. They blink. I'm sure you could change the LED controller that's in there. They give you different things you can plug it in, areas you can plug it into. And I did notice that some were constant, some blinked. I chose just to keep them all blinking. So that's just me. Well, anyways, there you go. That's the Grand Cruiser. One thing I didn't do it to the ailerons, but I did it to my tail and my rudder, is in the build. Instead of using Blenderm tape, this time I decided to go with a real thin bead of hot glue and on both sides. Did make it a little stiffer, but it's a much stronger hinge. So we'll see how that goes. I may end up doing that with the ailerons also, but they do have a very nice foam hinge also. So probably end up doing that eventually. But don't know why I didn't go ahead and do it, but I didn't. So well, anyways, there you go. That's the Grand Cruiser. I'm looking forward to getting her a maiden for you. Thank you so much for watching. This is Fat Guy Flies RC. God bless y'all. And we'll see you later.